Of clarification before I begin, is this a hearing about China or is it about
It's a hearing about China, and we have passed along a number for Trump derangement syndrome to our colleagues. So apparently they haven't started taking classes yet, but it is about China, a very important issue, and the government's failure to respond to the CCP threat.
Well, reclaiming my time, I think that China is a serious enough threat that we need to focus on China.
I think my colleague from South Carolina may have gotten confused about who said what, but these are things that Trump has said about Xi. Smart, brilliant, everything perfect. We love each other. President Xi, who's a friend of mine, who's a very, very good man. There's nobody like that. The look, the brain, the whole thing. My feeling towards you is an incredibly warm one. This doesn't sound like someone that has any intentions of being hard on China, in my opinion.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
All right, everyone, grab a seat and let's play a quick game of Compliment the Dictator, and we'll all guess which presidential candidate was responsible for the gushing remarks. President Xi is a brilliant man. If you went all over Hollywood to look for somebody to play the role of President Xi, you couldn't find him. There's nobody like that. The look, the brain, the whole thing. Now, were these words uttered by Joe Biden or Donald Trump?
Look, I want China to do great. I do. And I like President Xi a lot. He was a very good friend of mine during my term.
Well, look, COVID.
How about this one? There's a man, Viktor Orban. Did anyone ever hear of him? He's probably like one of the strongest leaders anywhere in the world. The leader of Turkey. FYI for the likes of my aunt who's just getting into politics, Viktor Orban isn't the leader of Turkey, but Hungary. And he seized control of universities and put them in foundations that were run by his allies. He rewrote the constitution and he neutered the courts, all while trying to control the media. But anyway, back to the game. Was this nothing but love word salad from the mouth of Joe Biden or Donald Trump?
There's nobody that's better, smarter, or a better leader than Viktor Orban. He's fantastic. As you know, the Prime Minister of Hungary and does a great job. He's a non-controversial figure because he said this is the way it's going to be, and that's the end of it, right? He's the boss. And now he's a great leader.
There's a man, Viktor Orban. Did anyone ever hear of him? He's probably like one of the strongest leaders anywhere in the world. And he's the leader of, right? He's the leader of Turkey.
Do we even need to go on? Or as Jasmine Crockett put it, can we just assume all of this is from the orange one?
But what I continue to see is that Trump seems to only care about his money. Democrats on this committee publicly released financial documents detailing how Trump received over $5.5 million from the Chinese government. Not only that, these records also showed how President Trump and his White House senior advisor daughter, Ivanka, received hundreds of trademarks by the PRC during that time. So I'm going to skip to this timeline because I want to make sure we cover this. ZTE is a China telecommunications company, which has had extremely close ties to the Chinese government, including reports showing ZTE employees entering and exiting Chinese spy facilities. Unfortunately, what we saw when we look at this timeline is that in May of 2018, China approved Ivanka's trademarks for bath mats, textiles, and baby blankets. May 7th, 2018, China approved 5 additional trademarks. May 13th, 2018, President Trump's tweets, he's instructed the Commerce Department to reverse its decision to sanction ZTE. June 7, 2018, Ivanka's company gets 3 more provisional Chinese trademark approvals the same day the Trump administration officially announces an agreement to lift the sanctions on a 7-year...
Gentlelady's time's expired. Chair recognizes Mr. Sessions from Texas.
As the debate nears, one subject we can expect a question on is how the future president would handle relations with the likes of Vladimir Putin, President Xi, and of course, Kim Jong-un.
And Kim Jong-un I had a good relationship with. He's a tough, smart guy.
Well, as a preface to this conversation, during an oversight committee hearing, a Republican from South Carolina seemed to get a wee bit confused as to which of the last 2 presidents heaps praise on authoritarian leaders, especially the leader of China. Well, thankfully, Jasmine Crockett was on hand to remind him.
I think my colleague from South Carolina may have gotten confused about who said what, but these are things that Trump has said about Xi. Smart, brilliant, everything perfect. We love each other. President Xi, who's a friend of mine, who's a very, very good man. There's nobody like that. The look, the brain, the whole thing. My feeling towards you is an incredibly warm one. This doesn't sound like someone that has any intentions of being hard on China, in my opinion.
The enemies of constitutional democracy and freedom seek to destabilize the American government. The tyrants of the world are targeting Joe Biden and promoting Donald Trump, who has fawningly described President Xi as a brilliant man, who has called Vladimir Putin a genius, and who has said he fell in love with Kim Jong-un. While Donald Trump has described President Xi as a very good man, China is in fact an authoritarian police state and violator of the human rights and civil liberties of hundreds of millions of people. President Xi has persecuted, incarcerated, and oppressed the Tibetans, the Uyghurs, and the people of Hong Kong and Taiwan. Xi has made common cause with his fellow tyrants, forming a no-limits alliance with Putin's Russia just a few weeks before Putin's illegal invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Beijing maintains a defense treaty with Pyongyang and is a key ally to Kim Jong-un, a third-generation dictator and communist monarch who presides over a totalitarian dungeon for his people.
And you know what I always find funny, right, when this topic is discussed, is how Trump has somehow been able to simultaneously convince his cult followers that he's the most America-first president, a patriot in chief, built in America, made in America. All while he and his family enriched themselves greatly via their business assets, not in America, but in China. While they were in office.
Oh, and while we're on Mr. Gates, he seemed to be upset about a couple different things. One was fraud, which was fascinating to me, given that his hero, Donald Trump, has just been convicted civilly of bank and insurance fraud in New York in a civil case, and now owes, I think it's $454 million, unless that's gone up with interest. I think he's having a hard time making that, but I'm sure that Mr. Gates's constituents will help him out as they're shaking down Republican voters. You can pay either for Donald Trump's criminal lawyers or his civil lawyers. That's the big political choice, I suppose. He's also upset about China. Well, if you check out the Democrats' report, White House for Sale, how princes, prime ministers, and premiers paid off President Trump, you'll find that China actually gave more than $5 million to Donald Trump while he was president of the United States, in direct violation of the emoluments clause, which says that nobody in federal office shall accept a present, an emolument, which means a payment, an office or title of any kind whatever, from a king, a prince, or a foreign state. And we spent the day, again, jawboning about Hunter Biden, who has never held public office, and he's never done business with a government. And yet we have right in front of us, in front of our very eyes, mammoth corruption, unprecedented U.S. history by Donald Trump as president. And my friends don't say a single word about it.
Not to forget the mere $2 billion Jared Kushner pocketed from the Saudis.
Yesterday, I sat in on the Hunter Biden deposition for hours. Republicans once again proved and provided zero evidence, failing to show any sort of link between Hunter Biden and the president. No links between those business dealings. This entire case is a political stunt and a joke. Donald Trump ordered House Republicans to smear President Biden. They tried and tried and tried and failed. But I want to remind everyone about the real White House crime family. Why did Saudi Arabia give Jared Kushner $2 billion, billion with a B, just months after he left the Trump White House? And why did the Saudis spend hundreds of thousands of dollars at Trump properties while he was still the president? We also know that Jared Kushner used his cushy White House job to secure a $100 billion arms deal for Saudi Arabia and did other favors as well. Now, some members of the majority actually agree that this was unethical. And in fact, a few weeks ago, Jared Kushner was asked by a reporter about his grift. He responded, "Are we still really doing this?" Yes, Jared, we are still really doing this. The American people deserve answers. I rise yet again to urge my colleagues across the aisle to answer our calls and subpoena Jared Kushner's companies once and for all. We are not stopping, and we demand answers. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield back my time.
And then on top of that, they have the unmitigated gall to hold entire impeachment hearings over a car loan. The hypocrisy knows no bounds. But thankfully, with the likes of Raskin and Jasmine Crockett on hand, it won't go unnoticed.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.